Right now, you're probably thinking about every single space movie you've ever watched. Total Recall 2001, A Space Odyssey, Guardians of the Galaxy, Mission to Mars, they all show the same absolutely terrifying thing. Someone gets sucked out into space and boom, they explode like a balloon, their eyes bulge out, blood boils, and they freeze solid in seconds. But here's the shocking truth that Hollywood doesn't want you to know. You will not explode in space. Not even close. In fact, you might survive. Way longer than you think, and the real science is far more fascinating than any movie special effect. I know this sounds completely insane. Every movie, every TV show, every piece of science fiction has drilled this terrifying image into our heads for decades. Arnold Schwarzenegger's bulging eyes in Total Recall. People inflating like balloons before popping, but stick with me because this is going to completely blow your mind and change everything you thought you knew about the deadliest environment in the universe. Let's start with the biggest lie Hollywood tells us, that you'll explode because of the pressure difference between your body and space. They show people inflating like party balloons and then bursting in gore. It's dramatic, it's terrifying, and it's complete nonsense. Here's what would actually happen if you were suddenly exposed to space, and this is going to shock you. If you were suddenly exposed to the vacuum of space, let's say an airlock fails, your spacesuit gets torn by debris, or you're pulled out during a spacewalk, you would absolutely not explode. Your body is way tougher than Hollywood gives it credit for. Your skin is basically a biological spacesuit that evolution spent millions of years perfecting. It's strong and flexible enough to hold everything together even in a complete vacuum. Think about it, your skin can handle crazy pressure changes every single day. When you go up in an airplane and your ears pop, when you dive underwater, when you drive up a mountain, your body deals with pressure changes constantly. The pressure difference between inside your body and the vacuum of space is only about 1 atmosphere. That's exactly like diving down just 30 feet underwater, except in reverse. And people free dive way deeper than that all the time without exploding, but here's where it gets really wild and will blow your mind. You actually have about 15 seconds of useful consciousness before you pass out. 15 whole seconds. That might not sound like much, but it's an eternity in an emergency. That's enough time to potentially save yourself if you're near an airlock or if someone can mount a rescue. During those crucial 15 seconds, here's exactly what would happen to your body, and this is absolutely fascinating. First, the saliva on your tongue would start to boil and bubble. Not because it's getting hot, but because there's no atmospheric pressure. Water boils at lower temperatures when there's less pressure. That's why water boils faster when you're cooking at high altitude. Your skin might swell up a bit, like a mild case of being stung by bees all over, but it will not rupture. You might feel like you're getting an intense sunburn from unfiltered solar radiation, and yes, you lose consciousness as the oxygen in your blood gets used up. But here's the most mind-blowing part. You could potentially survive for up to 2 full minutes in space if someone could get you back inside and give you oxygen quickly enough to hold minutes. There are actual documented cases of people surviving rapid decompression. In 1966, a NASA technician named Jim LeBlanc was accidentally exposed to a near vacuum during a spacesuit test at Johnson Space Center. He lost consciousness after about 14 seconds but was successfully revived with no permanent damage. He later said the last thing he remembered was feeling the saliva boiling on his tongue. So why does Hollywood lie to us? Because the real version isn't dramatic enough for blockbuster movies. A person slowly losing consciousness doesn't make for good special effects. Exploding bodies, now that's entertainment that sells tickets. But the universe has way scarier things than pressure differences. The real killers in space are cosmic radiation, extreme temperatures, and micrometeorites flying at incredible speeds. Those tiny space rocks can punch holes right through a metal spacecraft. Here's something that'll mess with your head. In Earth's shadow, you'd eventually freeze solid, but it would take quite a while because there's no air to conduct heat away efficiently. But in direct sunlight, you'd actually overheat because there's no atmosphere to protect you from the sun's intense radiation, and speaking of radiation, that's the real silent killer. Without Earth's magnetic field and atmosphere protecting you, cosmic radiation would start damaging your DNA immediately. It's like getting continuous X-rays 24 hours a day. This is why astronauts have strict limits on space-time, but the craziest part: some organisms on Earth can actually survive in space. Tardigrades, these incredible microscopic water bears, can survive vacuum, extreme radiation, and temperatures that would kill everything else. They shut down all biological processes and enter cryptobiosis, basically waiting it out until conditions improve. Nature is absolutely incredible. This changes how we think about dramatic movie scenes where someone sacrifices themselves by opening the airlock. In reality, they probably could have survived if pulled back inside quickly enough. Even more mind-bending, astronauts have experienced tiny tears in their space suits during real spacewalks. Not enough for explosive decompression, but enough for first-hand pressure loss experience, and they didn't explode. They followed emergency protocols and lived to spacewalk again. The International Space Station has detailed protocols for suit failures. There are emergency procedures, backup life support, rapid repressurization techniques, and ways to save someone even after brief vacuum exposure. Here's what's crazy about human psychology: we're so terrified of space because of movie myths that we think it's instantly lethal, but real astronauts deal with actual space dangers daily, and they're more concerned about radiation, equipment failures, and debris impacts than exploding. The real space environment is both more forgiving and more dangerous than Hollywood shows. More forgiving because you won't instantly explode. More dangerous because the real killers, radiation, temperature extremes, oxygen loss, are invisible and take time to work. Think about how this changes everything you thought you knew about space travel and astronaut bravery. They're not just risking explosive decompression, they're risking cancer from radiation, equipment failures, psychological breakdown, bone loss from zero gravity, and thousands of other invisible threats. Movies never show. Next time you watch a space movie and someone explodes in vacuum, you can drop this knowledge bomb on everyone. Tell them that's not how space works, that the human body is tougher than Hollywood thinks, and that reality is way more complex and interesting than special effects. The universe is full of these misconceptions that make reality seem less dramatic than fiction, when actually reality is far more fascinating once you understand the real science. Pretty wild how everything we think we know about space comes from movies instead of actual research, isn't it? Makes you wonder what other facts about the universe are just Hollywood nonsense. If you want more mind-bending space facts that'll completely shatter everything you thought you knew about the cosmos and make you question every sci-fi movie you've ever watched, make sure to hit that subscribe button for Astral Awe, because we're just getting started with cosmic truths that'll leave you absolutely speechless.